everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. So I am a part of the Grinning Ghosts collab. So in this collab, everybody's just making any video about the Haunted Mansion. There are a ton of amazing videos that have been done for this collab, and I'll leave those links down in the description below. Be sure to go check those out. There's some crafts, recipes, Haunted Mansion facts, anything that you would ever want about the Haunted Mansion. Today we're going to be making Haunted Mansion macarons. I have all of my ingredients right here. The recipe that I am using today comes from Baking with Blondie. I'll leave a link to the recipe in the description. So I have here 110 grams of egg whites, and these egg whites have been sitting out on the counter for about an hour, so they're about room temperature now. You want them to be room temperature. I have 55 grams of sugar. I have half a teaspoon of vanilla, and then I have 180 grams of powdered sugar and 95 grams of almond flour. Both were sifted, and then I sifted them together. It's a very important step that they are sifted. Very important. Or else you get like lumps in your macarons and it's just not good. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make some meringue. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our egg whites in our mixing bowl. And then I'm going to set it on like speed 4 for 2 minutes. And while that's going, I'm gonna add the sugar in gradually and then put the vanilla in. And then after that, we'll see where our meringue is. Okay, so we're putting the egg whites in. Get all of it in there. Uh-oh, it's dripping. Okay. And then I'm gonna set it on like level 4 for 2 minutes, add in the sugar and the vanilla. All right, so our meringue's not quite there. You can see it's pretty frothy. Not very thick. So now I'm gonna bump it up a level and do another 2 minutes. All right, so our meringue is almost there. It's still pretty thin, not super thick. Like if I were to pull this out, like it's just globbing off of the whisk. Not what we want. So I'm gonna bump it up to 8 and do 1.5 minutes. And while it's on 1.5 minutes, I'm going to put in our food coloring. We're gonna do purple today. All right, let's see where our meringue's at. Move over a little bit. So the way you know your meringue is done is if you've got some stiff peaks. So we've got, you see how this peak is kind of like flopping over a little bit, so it's not quite there. It's almost there, but not quite. So I'm gonna put it on the highest setting, 10, for like 10 seconds, just to solidify it just a little bit more. That's looking a lot better. I like to whip it around and pull it up. Yeah, so that peak's looking a lot better. You can see there, it's not quite as floppy over, it's pretty stiff. Another test that you can do to make sure your meringue is done is hold the bowl over your head. So if you tip it over, none of it falls out. That's how you know the meringue is done. So if you've got good stiff peak there, then you're all good to go. So while I was letting the meringue whip up, I got out my trays and put some parchment paper on them. I really like these really flat trays, don't have sides. But I also like flipping normal cookie sheet upside down. It just helps the heat from the oven circulate better and make the cookies cook better instead of getting like hot spots and them getting like burnt on the edges and stuff. It just helps them cook a little bit better. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is preheat the oven, and I'm going to preheat it to 310, and then that'll give it a chance to preheat all the way and be able to sit and stabilize the temperature so that the cookies cook very well. So I'm gonna go set the oven right now. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add our powdered sugar and our almond flour to our purple meringue. This is probably the hardest thing to do when making macarons, is getting these to mix just right. You want to make sure that you're folding the dry ingredients in and not mixing it, because you don't want your meringue to deflate. So let's get folding. Okay, so I'm just gonna add the dry ingredients in. Good. And we're just going to fold around the bowl just like this. Try and get all of the dry ingredients incorporated, because if you have any dry ingredients left over that's not incorporated into the meringue, it's gonna make the macarons turn out weird. At least like have like weird like almond flour lumps in them. I don't know what else to call it. You always want to make sure you check the bottom of the bowl, because dry ingredients like to hide out there. You check down in the bottom. Just fold around. And then I'm going to scrape my spatula off, because dry ingredients also like to hide in there. So you always want to check in there as well. Some off the edge. There we go. Oh, and to get this purple color that I did, I put in 20 drops of my Chef Master Violet food coloring. So that's how we got this nice purple. This nice, like, I don't know, haunted mansion purple. Is there even a haunted mansion purple? Is that a thing? It should be a thing, because there's like the green, like the cast members always have like those green and black striped outfits that are super cool. I feel like there's like a haunted mansion purple as well. I don't know. Okay, so you can see here, the batter is not ready because it's just like plopping back into the bowl. And we want it to be not like super runny, but we want it to ribbon off the spatula nicely. So we're just gonna go around a couple more times. And the other thing that I've been doing, pressing it up against the bowl, it deflates the meringue just a little bit, just enough so that it helps the cookies to cook well in the oven. And also helps give it like a shiny texture. You don't have to do that, just straight folding works well. Anyway, okay, so we're getting, it's ribboning off a little bit, but still kind of plopping off into the bowl. So we're gonna keep mixing, keep folding. I like to fold in like half of it and then fold the whole thing, or whatever. However you like to fold will work. That's looking a little better. And the other thing that you want to look for, it's kind of coming off the spatula in a V shape. So that's another thing to look for. And then we want to try and make a figure 8 without it breaking. So it broke there. So we're gonna, oh, I got almond stuff on my hand. There we go. We're gonna mix it a little bit more, maybe like 2 or 3 more folds. And then, there we go, there's a figure 8, didn't break. And then the next thing I always look for to see if it incorporates back in to the rest of the batter in like 10-ish seconds, like not incorporated all the way, but most of the way. Looks like it kind of got there. I'm gonna give it like 1 more turn. Our figure 8 test. And the reason why doing this step is so hard is because it's really easy to overmix the batter. So yeah, that's looking really good. It's incorporated back in nicely, but it's not like just like falling back in and disappearing. It's really easy to overmix on this step, and if you overmix, you won't get good feet, you'll get hollowed macarons, all of these problems. That is why macarons are so difficult to make. So there's our batter, all done. All right, so our next step is to pipe our macarons. So I have my piping bag, I have my, what is this? Wilton 12 tip. I think it's a 12, does that say 12? I have my tip, it's got like a circle in it. That's what you want. If you don't have a tip, you can always just like cut off the tip of the bag, and that would work good. Or just getting like a freezer bag and cutting off the tip of it, that works great as well. So I'm gonna just stick my tip in there. I forgot to grab myself a pair of scissors. Okay, so I got the tip in there, and then I'm just gonna cut off the end of it. So we've got our poking through there. Very nice. And then I have this cup here just because it makes it easier to fill the bag if you put the bag in the cup. So I'm gonna fold the end over so it doesn't leak out into the cup, because that would be annoying. Like lose all of our batter and then I might cry. Not actually. I haven't actually cried over macarons yet. Actually, that's not true. So now I'm gonna put like half of the batter in here just so it's not like super full, overflowing, that good stuff. My hands are messy again. Making a mess again. That's all I ever do when I make macarons, honestly, is I just make a mess. They're kind of messy to make, not really. It depends on if you're super like skilled at like filling piping bags and not spilling almond flour everywhere. Okay, there's a little bit of batter left in there. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now we're gonna start piping. My macarons always end up being like different sizes, and I think that's about the size that you want, and I'll do a close-up in a minute when I'm done piping all of these trays. You want to try and get them to be about the same size. So I've kind of run out of macaron batter, so I'm going to refill the bag with the rest of my batter and then get back to piping. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get all of this leftover batter in the bag down to the end, so I can try and squeeze out a couple more macarons onto my tray. So this is like a rice scooper that we had, but it's flat. It does a pretty good job. You just kind of scrape it down. If you do this, you only want to do it like at the very end, because scraping down all the batter mixes the batter up a little more. And so these last couple macarons will be slightly overmixed, which is okay. We just don't want them all to be overmixed. So, got the rest of my stuff. Also, it turns out I only needed 2 of these trays. I did not need that third one, but that's okay. Sometimes I get like, I always get different number of macarons every time I make them. So this is what they look like right after I've piped them. So next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bang them on the counter to get rid of any bubbles. And then we're gonna take a toothpick and just fill in the bubbles, because we don't want bubbles in our macarons, because then they'll break. I'll be sad. So if you can see here, we've got some bubbles that have started popping. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna fill those in. All right, so now we're gonna let these sit for like 20-30 minutes just so they get like a smooth like shell on them, and then we're gonna stick them in the oven. All right, so our macarons have been sitting out for about 40 minutes now, and we're gonna put them in the oven. All right, and I set the timer for about 9 minutes, and then after that we'll check them and see how they're doing. All right, so now we're gonna check them. The way you check them is if you tap it and it still wiggles, it means they're not done yet. So we're gonna have them go for another 2 minutes. You can see in there we've got some good feet forming. It's a good sign. All right, let's check them one more time. Still wiggling just a little bit. So we're gonna give them another 2 minutes. All right, check it one more time. Okay, so they're not moving anymore. I'm gonna give them 2 more minutes, and then they're gonna come out of the oven. Here they are. So I just put in that last tray of macarons, and I'm gonna let these cool, and then when those are done, I'm gonna let them cool. It's very important that you let these cool all the way before you take them off the parchment paper. I've taken them off before and it was a disaster and I cried. I haven't actually cried over macarons yet, so don't do that. Wait till they're cooled all the way and then they'll be perfect. Look how beautiful they look. All right, so now that our macarons have cooled, we're gonna put them in a Tupperware, stick them in the fridge for a little bit, and then make some buttercream. So I wanted to show this super fast. So this is how you know if your macarons cooked right. So we've got some pretty good feet there. Our shells are hard, but then if you go to the bottom, it's cooked all the way, and if you press on it, it's kind of soft. So that's how you know that your macaron is right. All right, so now we're gonna make some chocolate buttercream to go on our macarons. So we're gonna need a stick of butter, 3/8 cup of cocoa powder, 2 cups of powdered sugar, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 tablespoons of cream. So we're gonna throw the butter in the mixer, and then after the butter's all creamed, we're gonna throw everything else in and have some chocolate buttercream. I want these to be spooky Haunted Mansion macarons. We're gonna add some black food coloring to see if we can get some black buttercream. Look at that, we've got black buttercream. All right, so now we're gonna match up our macarons, and then we're gonna put the buttercream inside, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Okay, so now I'm going to draw on the famous Haunted Mansion wallpaper onto our macarons to make them Haunted Mansion macarons. Okay, so I don't really know how this is gonna go. We'll see how this all works, because I've never actually drawn this before. Probably should have practiced, but I didn't. looks really bad. Maybe the others will look better when I'm not drawing it into the camera. It looks like General Grievous. Alright, so the Haunted Mansion wallpaper ones, they were taking me forever. So I decided to do a mixture, and I did some that are the outline of the Haunted Mansion, and then also the font of the Haunted Mansion letters. So there you go. Now let's put some chocolate in these. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pipe our buttercream onto our macaron, just like that. And then I'm gonna roll it in these green sprinkles, just to make it a little bit more fun. Look how cute that is. So cute. Alrighty, so there we have them, our Haunted Mansion macarons. Look how cool they look. Anyway, so that is how you make Haunted Mansion macarons. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out the other videos in this collab. I've left the links in the description, and thank you so much for watching. Alright guys, I have to let you know, so it's been like 2 days since I've made these macarons, but these are seriously like the best macarons I've ever made. Like, look at this. Look how full the inside of that macaron is. That's insane. Seriously, the best macarons I have ever made.